Now, some people might say, Craig, do you believe in demons? And the answer is, absolutely I do. People might ask, well, do you think you've ever encountered demons? And my answer would be, probably way more often than I realize. I'll give you an example. In fact, I kind of wrestled with whether or not to tell this story because you might kind of look at me and go, you're weird, okay? But many of you, you've already thought that for years, so I'll go ahead and tell it to you anyway. When I was in college as a brand new believer, we had a group of people that would gather in a Bible study, and someone invited this guy from campus that was, let's just say, a little bit odd. He was into things that most would describe as rather unusual and kind of dark. And so this guy came to this little Bible study, and at the end of the study, we gathered around in a circle. There were about 20 of us, and we started to pray. I happened to be sitting by the guy who was a bit unusual, and so I'm holding hands, which is never my favorite thing to do with another guy, especially that I don't know. We're sitting in this circle, and someone across the room was praying for something, and I thought, I'll pray for this guy who's sitting next to me. Not out loud, mind you, but in my mind. So in my mind, I was praying, God, this guy's unusual. I pray that you'd help him, or something like that. And when I did, very true story. God is my witness. This guy, he shook my hand, and in the middle of prayer, he looked at me, and he said,
"Don't pray for me."
Okay. So I did the natural thing, and in the middle of the prayer meeting, I lied to him, okay? I lied, bold-faced lied, and said, I'm not praying for you. I don't know what you're talking about. And the prayer meeting continued, and so I prayed more in my mind. Oh, God, I don't know what's going on here. I pray for him, and he stopped me again. He said,
"I told you, stop praying for me."
True story. So I lied again, second time in the same prayer meeting, and I kept on praying. God is my witness this happened. I was praying in my mind, not out loud, and the third time he grabbed my hand and he said rather violently, he said, "I told you, stop praying for me," and then he spit in my face. He spit in my face. I'd already sinned twice, so I thought 3 is no big deal, and I took my hand as hard as I could, and I nailed him in the chest. He was sitting Indian style, and he fell backwards on the ground, and he started making all these very unusual noises. Well, there was a guy there named Danny Chambers, who was a youth pastor in town of a more charismatic church. Danny's senior pastor of a church now in another state. Danny came up and said, "Come out of that guy in the name of Jesus Christ." And he started praying, and this guy was on the ground making all sorts of unusual noises, and finally, he just kind of went, "Pah," and it was over. And later on we asked him, do you remember what happened? And you spit in my, that wasn't very smart, spitting in my face. And he didn't remember anything, and it was the most unusual and impossible to describe experience that I could ever imagine. And I'm convinced that we were dealing with some sort of demonic force. The spirit world, as we've studied in past weeks, is very, very, very real. And today we want to get kind of a broad understanding of what is the goal of the forces of darkness.